Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to F1 2020 Viewing 237. As you can see, a slightly different start today. This is actually my main league racing series, FTR, Full Throttle Racing. As you can see here, we've got the calendar, jumbled up calendars to sort of get away from the monotonous droning on of the usual calendar, start Australia going so forth to end in Abu Dhabi. As you can see the drivers here, I've got myself into the Alpha Tauri alongside my teammate FTR C Knight, and this is actually round 2 in Belgium. Round 1, I'll explain what happened a little bit later on, but the race in Belgium, we qualified in P5 on the soft compound tyres. My teammate qualified 4th on the medium, so we qualified by him. I elected to start on the softs because there is a rain period that should be coming quite soon into the race, so what I've done is I've underfueled the car quite massively. I've gone for a wet weather setup, and let's get into the race right now, see what we can achieve on this first lap. You can see the 5 red lights are coming on right about now, and we get way off the line. Pretty decent initial launch. We get quite squirmy in 4th gear, actually nearly planting the wall. Either one's going up or outside. We're good at the inside of our teammate, trying to get a nice run, and this is a very important part of the race here, going up Eau Rouge and up to the top of Radion down the Camel Straight. See if we can close into our teammates. So we've closed in massively there. We actually ran wide through Eau Rouge, got our first track limits warning, and now we're deploying overtake fully enriched. See if we can close it to the back of our teammate and go for a move. He goes to the inside out and Bastinator, but he doesn't make it stick. We go around the outside, but he has the more flow run for the second part of Les Combes, and then he drops it at the end of turn 6, I think, and that drops him right back down the field. I believe he actually got damaged for that, and he's now last, which is unlucky, but that brings us up a place, going through No Name now. Pretty decent corner on this game. Doesn't understeer all too much, and with this setup being wet weather, we've got a lot more downforce for the car. See, holding position through the latter part of the lap. One thing I must say about this race is there's quite a lot of shenanigans that goes on. You'll see, we'll come to that. But what I also need to mention is the reason there is no sound in the video in terms of car noise is our team radio. I'm just checking with Jeff right now, my race engineer, to see which tyre, to see where the weather's at, and I believe he said the rain was coming relatively soon. But yes, the reason that there is no there isn't any noises rather, is because I've turned all the game sounds off, or turned them off in the video. I still have them on when I'm racing. That's because I'm in a party chat, and I feel it'd be a bit confusing having a lot of different voices going at the same time, including myself talking, and Jeff talking, and like 4 other people in the Xbox party talking. So that's the reason. If you want me to change that up and you want to hear the beautiful noises of F1 2020, please do let me know in the comments, and I will endeavour to do that for season 2. But we've just got a virtual safety car, and I believe that was because somebody dropped it at the top of Radion. That's going to be treacherous in the rain, is the top of that corner. But this is the first of many. What this is doing, this is really helping me out, because it's allowing me to save fuel. Not that fuel's going to be an issue. I've got to say, from the races that I'm doing now, I've got very good at fuel saving, and I've got very good at ERS management, or well, I do get better at it, and that's one key thing, especially at a track like Belgium. You want to keep as much ERS as possible. As you can see, the virtual safety car ends, and we don't get the best exit or the best restart. We run wide at the chicane. We actually lose nearly 4 tenths to either one behind us. See, coming through their first stabilo here, he's actually closing up quite a lot to the back of us. He's going to be putting us under a lot of pressure as we go into the bus stop. We might deploy some overtake, try and get the inside there. DRS will be enabled on the next lap, so if he's going to overtake me, I'd rather him do it into the bus stop. See, we're deploying some overtake here just to defend. Probably not the wisest strategy, but then again, battling also isn't the wisest strategy. Bastinator is starting to pull away from us. You can see FTR AVFC retires. He dropped it on the exit, or quite far off the exit, Stabilo too, so I don't know what happened there. And not a safety car hasn't actually been bought out, and neither is a virtual one. But as the two Red Bulls, or one of the Red Bulls and my teammate go past him, somebody retires, and that brings out the virtual safety car. So that halts either one's attack for another lap, which is helpful for me, to say the least. As you can see, I'm constantly checking the weather. The weather's going to be a few laps out. Obviously, this is Belgium, so a few laps probably equates to maybe 1 or 2 laps. And I feel like I'm on the best strategy here. I don't really have the pace to keep it up with the people at the front, like Let Joe and Resonant Lord. Evo 3 is actually quite far behind us. I believe at this point, myself, Evo, and Resonant are actually locked in quite a hefty championship battle. But no spoilers, because they're actually going on to race 8 this weekend. I'm recording this on the 12th of November. So yeah, this is only round 2. I'm just a tiny bit behind. See, the safety car, the VSC finally goes away. We can actually get back to running, and once again in the same spot as last race, we lose like a couple of tenths back to Evil 1. Which is going to put us under pressure coming into the bus stop once again, but we've saved up plenty of ERS, so we should be good. And he actually falls away from us, probably having to maybe defend or think a bit more about Pete or Pate. I don't know how you pronounce that. I really wish people could have simple names in this game, but apparently that's not as funny as having ridiculous names. And so we're going through bus stop. We've managed to keep position, but he has gained a bit more on us, so we could have a go at us up into Lake Holm down that main DRS straight. As you can see, the strategy is actually to go to softs and then to go to hards. But even if there's a dry race, I'd be going soft mediums. But seeing as the rain's coming, I'm going to be stretching these softs out as long as possible, and we get another virtual safety car. And I believe at this point I was joking around and saying that this isn't the Belgian Grand Prix, this is actually the virtual safety car Grand Prix, because that's 4 virtual safety cars in 4 laps, I think, or 3. My maths was never a strong point in school, so, you know, I can't count to 5, imagine. Not that I ever finished below 5th, that's a joke. Next race, many questionable things happen. Should probably talk about the French Grand Prix, actually. I believe I came 5th in that race. Didn't actually have the recording, I recorded it, and then the recording corrupted, the stream wasn't saved, so I couldn't go back over and look at that, which is unfortunate. I would have been on for a podium that race, I think P3, but I did have a 3-second penalty, which I tried to get removed. Basically, at one of the corners, I had to go off track to avoid someone, and obviously that avoiding 2 cars that have spun on the apex and going wide counts as exceeding track limits, because this game is incredible. Trying to say that without laughing and being sarcastic at the same time. Yeah, that's unfortunate that we didn't manage to get P3. We're coming to this race, we're 5th in the championship. Obviously we're 5th in the championship because we've only done 1 race. Wow. Let's just focus back on the racing right now. We've managed to pull out nearly a 1-second gap to Evo 1, and we have another yellow flag in between Stabilo 1 and 2, which is actually FTR Venom, who has crashed out, and now we have another virtual safety car. So yeah, I tell you what, this was fun when I was racing it. I've had a bit of league racing practice at the point of recording this. I believe I was in maybe 6 leagues, 6 or 7 leagues. I've cut that down a bit, quite a lot actually. I'm only running 2 races. We actually cut to the end of the virtual safety car period. It's actually beginning to spit with rain a little bit, so the change to intermediates won't be too far away. We've actually cut it to the back of Bastonator quite a bit. As you see, the pit window's open, but we're just going to be ignoring that from Jeff. But yes, we cut down on the leagues, as in WR, TSRL, WRS. So there's a lot of, I was in a lot of them, and I mainly used those to practice. Didn't really have all too good fortunes. as my computer's just gone to sleep. We love that, don't we? So like I'm trying to record already, I think. Anyway, yeah, I could download those out for uni work, and to be honest, I'm focusing mainly on this league and the Real Performance League. Videos will be coming out more to do with FTR than the Real Performance League. I see we've got a safety car now, as I believe someone actually dropped it at the top of Radion in these quite slippery conditions. So this is the point now where I'm instantly going to go into intermediates. See, Jeff's already come in the strategy, but I was well ahead of him there. As you see, we're coming to the pit stop at the end of the lap. Everyone's come in. I believe this is the crossover point, or at least if it's the crossover point, at least there'll be a couple of laps till crossover and behind safety car, so it's essentially a free pit stop. And we don't lose or gain any position during the safety car. The league racing, and the other leagues, I use mainly to practice and sort of get my eye in and understand how league racing works. And one thing I've noticed about myself, especially in a lot of these FTR races, I get very nervous. Like, my whole body starts shaking. There's a race that'll be coming out, I say soon in the grand scheme of things, as we're trying to warm up our tyres because they're currently rather cold. If I say cold, 58 degrees isn't cold by any stretch of the imagination. But for these intermediates, they are not going to be working as intended. But yeah, basically just got to work on nerves and get a bit more up on pace, and we should be pretty decent to start challenging the likes of Resident Lord and Evo Freezy, who's behind us at the moment, because those guys are ridiculously quick. But no spoilers for future races, because you see there, Let Joe has just atrocious internet connection. I don't think he races anymore. He either left or he just couldn't be bothered, really. You see, we've also saved up pretty much all of our fuel, so fuel's not going to be a problem for this race. As we get going, we don't make any positions. We do get a bit squirmy on the exit of La Source, and that's going to put us under pressure from Evo Freezy, and we're going up Eau Rouge and Radion for the first time. It's debatable what you could leave it in. I think after a couple of attempts at that in the rain, I decided that flicking down to 7th was better than keeping in 8th gear. As you can see, Evo has a look at us, he has another look at us. Going down into Lake Com goes at the inside, but we have the inside for the next left-hander. We managed to keep hold of the position. See, Let Joe has started falling back. I believe he says he's disconnected, but his car isn't ghosting, so who knows, really. This is Codemasters. It could be anything. You know, the amount of glitches on this game I could make, I could do an entire dissertation for a university on Codemasters glitches. And I wish it was, because that would be one of the easiest degrees you could ever do. So I'd playing this game, actually, but hey ho. See, we're closing at the back of Let Joe, and there you go. We're into the podium positions now until Evo inevitably comes along and takes that away from me. The ghosting system as well in this game is very distracting, especially playing in cockpit cam. It's questionable. As you can see, Sword Pits, that's Resident Lord Pits. He might have acquired damage, which is the only reason I could explain for him to be pitting on lap 10. These intermediates will easily go to the end. And as we come on to stall on lap 10, we go to the top of Radion there. See Evo's coming up the inside here. We're deploying Overtake and Rich to try and defend the position. He actually taps, uses his side pod, wasn't side pod, there was a little bit of contact with my left front and his side pod, which sends me across the curb, and obviously that's exceeding track limits, but yeah, who knows. And he's bolted. At this point I'm just trying to hold on. Bastonate is actually in the lead. Evil One retires, he bins it at the top of Radion. It's going to be an interesting place for the marshals up there. Seeing cars come skitting around 170 miles an hour. And at this point, I'm feeling pretty safe from Websy behind. There's 10 laps to go, and I feel like I can easily defend from Resident Lord if he managed to get that gap down or overtakes Websy. So my main focus is consolidating, make sure I get to the end in 3rd place, and maybe getting Evo or Bastonator, but we'll have to see. And see a lock up there into the first corner. Jeff has come over the radio telling that to pit this lap. There is really no point, as you can see coming through the main straight now, there's an absolute just there's so many cars. There's a big train of about 6 cars there maybe. So there's no way I'm going through that. As you can see, I've closed up quite a lot to let Joe on lap 19. Not really much happened in those laps. We were just trading positions. And I have a massive snap of oversteer, a bit like my teammate did on lap 1. And that sort of extends the gap a bit more as we lap Joe there. And the issue with me and Bastinator was he was faster in some sectors, I was faster in others, and we just kept on trading times. There's obviously no DRS, so we can't do anything with lapping. Let Joe in the same place for the second time. But yeah, that was pretty much it for the wet period of the race. Didn't really overtake anyone, as you see. We've managed to pull out 21 seconds to the car behind us. Now we're coming on to the penultimate lap. This is probably the last real opportunity we have to get past him. We can maybe get past him on lap 22, but as you can see, we don't get the best of exit up here, so maybe we could get relatively close if he has a bad exit or bad run for Erosion Radion. He doesn't have the best, so we are gaining quite heavily. Counter's constantly ticking down, 5.5 tenths. They're down to 5 tenths now, but we decided to save ERS and not push and maybe try for something into the bus stop or on the final lap. The reason I don't really want to go for stuff on the final lap is because it could jeopardise position. I don't know how many penalties Evo has. I believe I picked up 1 penalty. We'll have to have a look at the end of the race. But I don't know how many penalties Bass needs, so I'm more just trying to focus on him. And it's a very strategic game. Is Belgium. As you see, we both of us running right through pole 1, really pushing. Basically, it comes down to whoever has more ERS on the last lap in the wet, and what sort. If they get both to get the same run, then whoever's behind with slipstream and ERS should get through. So I'm trying to put all my eggs in that basket, maybe make him waste his ERS. I've realised I've contradicted myself with both of those statements, but anyway, as we're coming through up to the bus stop, we're using Gary ERS here to try and catch up to him, maybe put him under a bit of pressure so he gets a bad run out of the source. But you see, on the penultimate lap, he actually loses it through Blanchimont at 180 miles an hour, and he absolutely clatters into the wall. He was very lucky not to actually retire from that and lose his wheel. But he basically gives us second place there on a plate. It's commiserations to Bastinet. He drove a really good defensive race there, and a really good race in himself. Evo Freezy comes across the line to win the Belgian Grand Prix on track, but as we come across the line, we actually go up into first place because Evo Freezy had so many penalties, and from the races that precede this or succeed this, he isn't really one for picking up penalties, so I guess must be the wet weather conditions catching him out, or maybe a dry setup. But nonetheless, a fantastic race, P5 to P1. That was it was a nice feeling coming back after that pretty mediocre race in France, and I feel like we drove a good race. It was pretty boring up until the last 2 laps. You can see the Bastinator actually manages to claim second without any penalties, so he could have won that race if he hadn't have binned it, but you know, crap happens. It's F1. We have good and bad things. As you can see, that Drivers' Championship, we lead after first 2 rounds on 35 points with Evo on 33 and Let Joe on 26. And there was a lot of penalties back on the screen. I believe Evo actually had 18 seconds worth of penalties. But overall, a pretty decent race. You can see the Constructors' Championships coming up. AlphaTauri lead. And I'm very happy with that race. It was very enjoyable. And if you do want to join FTR and join its Discord, my Discord name will be in the description. So drop me a message and I'll catch you next time.